Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be ranking all the rides at Universal Orlando Resort. So I'm going to put every ride at Universal to different categories. This video could be just for anybody, even like people like tourists who are looking to go to the Universal parks during 2020. This is my opinion. These are not facts. Just saying. So yeah, this is just my opinion on which rides you should do and which rides you should skip. So starting with number 1, we have if you have kids. The first one on the list is Kang and Kodo's Twirl and Hurl. This ride is, yeah, it's okay. It is your classic. It's just your normal spinner ride, kind of like at Disney, like the magic carpets of Aladdin or Dumbo. It's the same idea, just Simpsons themed. This ride's based on Kang and Kodo from The Simpsons. And like I said, it's just your basic spinner ride. You're in alien spaceships, you're in UFOs, and you're just going around. This ride usually is a decent wait time, but unless if you have kids, yeah, it's definitely, you should probably skip it. Okay, next is Woody Woodpecker's Nut House Coaster. This is a junior coaster that revolves around Woody Woodpecker. Takes you through his nut house, in which you travel on one of the Woody Woodpecker trains. And this ride is very similar to the Barnstormer at Magic Kingdom. It is very short. It can get it could be a long wait sometimes, which is why it might not always be best to do. Once again, if you have kids, I would definitely recommend doing it. As a matter of fact, if you have kids, this is like the best one you should be doing. If your kids don't do many rides, then I would say definitely give this one a try. Next up is, we're moving over to Islands of Adventure. We have One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. Wow, that's a long title. This is pretty much the exact same thing as Kang and Kodo's Twirl and Hurl. It's basically the Dumbo ride at Magic Kingdom. You just spin around. They play like Dr. Seuss music and stuff like that. I'm not really going to go into depth about that one, go into detail about that one, because it's basically your classic spinner ride. It's not much to it, so yeah, if you have kids. And then, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I'll put it up on screen. I'm just going to call it Pterodactyl Flyers. Okay, you know what? This is actually one of the coolest rides at the park, believe it or not. Yeah, it's up there. But that's because of the views you get of the park. You get like amazing views. You can see the entire park. Just one problem with it. I would put it higher, but you can only do this ride if you have a child with you that is 48 inches or below. If you are just an adult, you cannot go on this ride with anybody unless if you have a child who is 48 inches and below. In my opinion, they should probably refurbish it to fit like all adults or just anybody in general, because this is a very great ride. I've only experienced it once, but yeah, it's really cool. You get great views of the park. It's definitely one that you always wish you just look up and see them go by and you just wish you could do it. If you have kids, then definitely do that ride. Alright, next up we have Do Not Bother. These are the rides that just don't bother doing because they're just bad. Well, honestly, no rides at Universal are just so bad. They're just all unique in their own way, but there's definitely some others that are better than others. And the only ride that belongs in this category, I'm sure you can guess what it is, at Universal Studios, Florida, we have Fast and Furious Supercharged. Now, here's the thing about this ride. This ride is very surprising. Like I'm kind of surprised to hear that this ride isn't good. Obviously, I've done it, and I agree with everybody by saying it isn't that much of a good ride. It could be a lot better. I mean, the queue is very cool. Like, when you walk through, it's like you're walking through like the Fast and Furious garage. I don't know, I've never seen those movies, but it feels like you're walking through like a big garage. You see like tons of these nice cars and stuff like that. But the ride itself is just kind of like anticlimactic. You would think that's gonna be amazing. It's like, oh, you get to race with the Fast Family and stuff like that. Yeah, that's not really what's happening. You're in a party bus and you just like travel along. The ride overall is very short. Like, it's a very short ride. And this ride can get pretty lengthy sometimes, like in terms of wait times. But just overall, unless if you've done literally everything at the park and you still have a lot of time left, then maybe check it out. But this is definitely like the last one on the list that you should be doing. Alright, next up is if you have time. These, once again, self-explanatory. Just if you have time. These are probably going to be like your last priority. Like, if you've done all the rides and you got nothing else to do, then do this. First up on the list, we got Popeye and Bluto's Bilge Rat Barges. This ride, if you compare it to Disney, it is very similar to Kali River Rapids, except this one, you're pretty much guaranteed to get drenched. Like, there's huge waterfalls that you go through, stuff like that. This ride's cool, though, because it's, like, themed to Popeye. Everybody loves Popeye, right? So, yeah, this ride is a pretty fast ride. It can get a bit, like, bumpy, because it's like a rapids ride. Raging Rapids, but overall this ride is pretty good. It's good on like hot days where it's like so hot out and you just need to get wet. That would be a good ride to do then. But also, like, on the other side, if it's like the middle of winter, there's no way you're gonna do that ride because you get wet. It's gonna be freezing cold afterwards. Alright, next on the list is the Cat in the Hat ride. Now, this is a pretty good ride. It's very similar to the now defunct Mr. Toad's Wild Ride at Magic Kingdom. I know I'm comparing these a lot to Disney, but like, if you've been to Disney, then you would know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is overall a pretty interesting ride. This is another ride where it's like, if you have kids, then do it. But you don't need kids. Like, this is a pretty interesting ride as well. Like, it's like whimsical. It's, yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy and whimsical. Like, yeah, I don't know. The technology could be a little bit better because the animatronics do kind of look a bit creepy sometimes. But overall, this is a pretty solid ride. I would recommend checking it out if you have time. Next up, we have Flight of the Hippogriff. Now, this ride is another one of those junior coaster rides. But, in my opinion, this one's way better than Woody Woodpecker. This is probably, like, the most thrilling junior coaster, like kids roller coaster that I've been on. This ride is, like, on the Universal Orlando app, this ride is labeled as a kids ride, but this does provide a pretty good thrill. Like, I wouldn't say if you have kids, because this is a good ride for all ages. Like, it's not really just for kids. You could definitely take your kid on it. If you have kids, then I would definitely take your kid on it. But yeah, this is a pretty cool ride. Lastly on the list, we have Skull Island Reign of Kong. This ride is very similar to Fast and Furious. Same like ride technology where you're going like on a bus pretty much, and there's like this huge temple that you go into and you see screens on the left and right side. The only thing that makes this ride better than Fast and Furious is the King Kong animatronic at the end of the ride. This is probably one of the coolest animatronics I've ever seen. It's just like mind-blowing. It's crazy. Like Universal really made this animatronic come to life at the end of the ride there, which is once again what made this ride good. Honestly, the ride itself is also good as well. It's cool. It's just compared to other rides, it could be a bit better. Okay, you know what? My mistake. The very last ride on this list is High in the Sky Seuss Trolley Train Ride. This ride is very similar. I know I keep comparing to Disney, but like Universal does compare a lot to Disney. But this ride is a lot like the People Mover in Tomorrowland and Magic Kingdom. This ride also gives you, similar to Pterodactyl Flyers, this ride does give you a very good view of the park. It is very childish though, but I mean, it's a Dr. Seuss ride, so you can't really expect much out of it. It is a very good ride to take with your kids, but this ride does get pretty, like the wait time for this ride does get pretty long at some points, especially on busy days. So I would recommend doing this either at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day when the wait time goes down a little bit. This would be another ride if you have kids, but this one is honestly better than if you have kids. Honestly, I would even put Pterodactyl Flyers above here, but the fact that you can only ride it with a kid just puts it down here. Alright, moving on to the next category, we have Consider Riding. These are the rides that you should definitely give a go. So, some of the rides on this list are like very criticized rides. This is once again my opinion. I like these rides and I think they're definitely worth trying. But some people may think otherwise, so I would just say, like, think about it. At least, like, consider doing it. If you don't get to it, that's fine. But just try, like, just consider doing it. If you've done everything, then try to do it, I would say. First up on this list, we got Men in Black Alien Attack. Now, this ride is very cool. The queue is amazing. You go through like the Men in Black labs. I have not seen the Men in Black movies, but you go through like the lab there, and there's like animatronics, life-size aliens there. And once you get on the ride, you get like a little laser blaster thing. You shoot aliens. You're not just shooting targets. You're shooting like actual aliens, animatronics, and they count towards your points. The only downside to this ride, well, it does not bother me, but lots of people, if you get motion sickness, you should probably skip this ride, because there are a couple parts of the ride where, like, you have to shoot the other, like, there's two trains going at a time. You have to shoot the other train, and when someone hits your train, you start, like, spinning out of control. It's kind of chaotic like that. I personally like it, but I know there are lots of people out there that have motion sickness, so skip it if you get motion sickness. If you don't, then definitely give it a try. It is very cool. Next up on the ride is the Simpsons ride. Now hear me out. I love this ride. Like, this is another ride where if you have motion sickness, skip this ride. I am telling you, skip this ride. I've heard stories of many people getting very sick and dizzy on this ride, especially people who are like very sensitive to motion sickness. They've been very dizzy, so I'm just warning you. If you have motion sickness, or just like if you have a little bit, then it's fine. But if you're like very sensitive about motion sickness, skip this ride, I'm telling you. But the good side, I love this ride. It is very cool. In my opinion, the most underrated ride at Universal. A lot of people like say that it's not good. I don't think so. I think it's good. The only downside to it is the motion sickness. If they didn't have motion sickness, then this ride would be like phenomenal. I just love it. Even the queue, it's like so entertaining. There's no like, the queue doesn't have really, it's not like creative or anything. They just play Simpsons clips, and that's all you really need in a queue, just like a TV and Simpsons. That's pretty much all you need. So yeah, I could personally sit there for a while and just watch Simpsons clips over and over and over again. So it doesn't bother me if we have to wait for that ride. Definitely give this one a try. Definitely. Like I would put in definitely try, but I have a feeling that I'm over exaggerating this ride. So I would just say consider. Consider riding this ride. Okay, next up we got Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon. Now this, I've heard that this is one of the most hated rides at Universal. Now here's the thing. The storyline, yes, I do think it's a bit bizarre how they would think of doing a Jimmy Fallon ride. It is kind of bizarre. But this ride, once again, the queue is very entertaining. Like you walk around, they got like games there. They have the ragtime gals performing there, and they just got like Jimmy Fallon clips from his talk show. And they even have like a little like memorial, like they're paying tribute to all the Tonight Show hosts throughout the years. Like it's just very creative, the queue. And then even the ride itself, it's very tame. It's very tame. If you aren't a ride person, I would definitely suggest doing this ride. This is like very cool ride. It is very new as well, so you don't really get motion sickness on this ride. Well, I don't think you would do because of how tame it is. It doesn't jerk you around a lot. It just kind of shifts side to side pretty much. It just tilts. And yeah, it's a very cool ride. I know I keep saying that, but this is a ride that I would definitely consider riding. Like, for sure. Alright, next up on the list is Despicable Me Minion Mayhem. This ride does whip you around a lot. Well, at least last time I rode it, you bump into a bunch of stuff like on the ride on the screen there. So it does kind of jerk you around a little bit, but that's okay. I mean, it's not too bad. It is a kid's ride, so it's not that bad. It is right in front. It's like one of the first rides you see when you enter the park. Actually, the first ride you see when you enter Universal. So it is gonna be a pretty long wait time. So this is another one of those rides where you should do either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day. Next ride up on the list is E.T. Adventure. I love this ride. It is the Peter Pan's Flight of Universal. It is, once again, another very tame ride. They're trying to simulate the bike ride from E.T. It is very calming and relaxing. It's nice as well. It doesn't whip you around or anything like that. It's very tame. And this is like the oldest ride at the park. And it is still in very good shape in pretty good shape for it being, I don't know, when was Universal made? Like maybe 20, 30 years or something like that. Moving over to Islands of Adventure, we have Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. Now this ride, the ride itself, it is entertaining. The animatronics do not have a wide range of movement, and there's no really story to it. It's kind of just like whimsical, because it's Dudley Do-Right, so it's a cartoon, so it is supposed to be whimsical. It gives off kind of like a Looney Tunes type vibe, but I think this is I want to say 60-foot drop, maybe 60 or 70-foot drop, which is very cool. Like, I don't know, it's just fun. Like once you go down the drop, and then you go up a little hill, like, yeah, it's fun. It's very similar to Splash Mountain at Magic Kingdom. Definitely check this one out, but this is another one of those rides where you are gonna get pretty wet, so either do it on a hot day or wear a poncho on the ride or something like that, or find a place to like dry off after the ride. Last ride on this list, finally, is Doctor Doom's Fearfall. This is one of those traditional drop tower rides, but what makes this ride unique is the view of Orlando. Depending on which side you're on, you can either see all of Universal or all of Orlando. Like, the views are just stunning, which is what makes this ride so good. Moving on to the next category, finally, we have Definitely Try. These are the rides that you should try to make one of your top priorities. Starting off the list, starting off the category, we have Jurassic Park River Adventure. This ride is, wow, it's mind-blowing. You go down an 85-foot drop, but not just that, like, the best part of the ride, in my opinion, is the dinosaurs. Like, you're just going through and you see all these animatronics, like the dinosaur animatronics, and Universal does a very good job at bringing these dinosaurs to life. Now, in my opinion, the Jurassic World ride at Universal Hollywood may be a bit better, but I mean, that's a whole nother state, so like, I can't really compare to that ride. So we don't really know when or if, like, what they're gonna be doing with this ride. Who knows if they're gonna change it to Jurassic World or just keep it Jurassic Park. Also, if you're a tourist, make sure to check, if you're planning to do this ride, check to see if this ride is going to be operational when you go, because they perform yearly maintenance. Every year they perform maintenance on this ride, close it down for a few weeks. Same with every ride. That's the same with, so that goes for Jurassic Park, Dudley Do-Right, and Popeye. So make sure to check for those 3 rides like before you go there if you're planning to do those rides. Next up on the list is The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. Now, okay, this is one of my favorite rides at the park, in all of Universal in general. This ride, like, the ride system is so unique, and considering this ride was made in like 1996 or 8 or something like that, this ride is in very good shape. Now, in 2012 or 14, they did perform a refurbishment on this ride that upgraded the video quality to 4K. So they basically just redid the visual effects and stuff like that, which made the ride like 10 times better. This ride is so immersive, from like going from like helping Spider-Man to like Dr. Octopus, Hydro Man chasing you and stuff like that. They're all trying to chase you throughout this ride, and they're all trying to, well, essentially kill you. Universal does Universal does a great job of bringing these rides to life. Like, they really know how to bring this ride to life by, you know, when Electro shows up, he like zaps you with electricity, and you can like, you'll start like shaking. It's crazy. It's so immersive. Okay, next we have Transformers The Ride 3D. This is very similar to Spider-Man. I'm not going to spend too much time on this ride, but essentially this ride is you're trying to help the Transformers, the Decepticons, protect the Allspark, which is, I don't exactly know, but it's like some gem or something like that. and you're just protecting that. Yeah, this is another very immersive ride. I would definitely recommend doing this one. Another one of my favorites. Alright, moving on. Must ride. These are the rides that you have to do. Well, obviously I'm not forcing you to do them, but I would definitely recommend putting this as like number 1 on your list. First up, we got Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. I'm going to try to go fast because this video is already long enough. But essentially, this ride is amazing because it doesn't go upside down, which you would think it does, but it doesn't actually. And the music, like the ability to choose your own music is just like, it just adds to the overall experience. Next, we got Revenge of the Mummy. This ride is closed for refurbishment until late summer, so if you're planning to check this ride out, don't come until like after summer or like late summer or something like that if you're planning to do this ride. This is a very cool ride. The visual effects on this ride is like amazing. The fire, the mummies, and just like, yeah, just the overall experience is just amazing. Even the queue, like, it feels like you're actually in the Mummy movies. It's amazing. Last ride at Universal, we have Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. Wow, this ride is so cool. It's like so immersive. Right when you walk in, like even just the area it's in, Diagon Alley, like, wow, just the icon, like that big dragon on top of Gringotts there. It's just amazing. When you walk into the queue, you're like instantly in Gringotts. It's just like you go underground beneath the bank, and then you meet up with Bill Weasley, and yeah, you like, the queue is just so crazy. Like you go up an elevator, and then yeah, you're there at your carts, and like you go down a drop, and the rest of the ride is just like so crazy. It's mind-blowing. Definitely check this ride out. Alright, next up on the list, we got the Incredible Hulk coaster. This is a very windy roller coaster. It goes upside down so many times. So if you get dizzy, maybe skip this ride. But yeah, this ride is very cool. Like, you would, if you've never seen this ride before, like maybe don't watch a video on it unless if you're like scared, because like it's very unexpected, just climbing up at the beginning, and it just blasts you off and away you go. This ride is crazy. Next, we got Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. This ride is amazing. It's supposed to simulate you flying on a broomstick in the Harry Potter universe. You fly through, you see the dragon, you see Dementors, you see a Whomping Willow, spiders, like, oh my gosh, just mind-blowing. Like it feels like the ride technology, this is like one of the most unique rides I've ever seen, which is what makes this ride so amazing. Alright, next we have Jurassic World Velocicoaster, the newest ride at Universal as of today, as of 2022. That makes this ride is like so smooth. It's just amazing. Like the queue, you see like velociraptors and stuff like that. There's 2 launches, 70 miles per hour. It's faster than Test Track at Epcot. You just like, oh my god, you go upside down so many times, corkscrews. You're just winding around and around. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just too much to explain. It's amazing. Just definitely check that one out. Check it out. Last ride on the list. Arguably the best ride at all of Universal. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. This ride is amazing. You go through the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid. You explore all these magical creatures such as Cornish pixies, Fluffy, unicorns. Like, it's just crazy. Like, Oh my god, it's so immersive. Like even just seeing Hagrid and with his Scroots and stuff like that. The queue once again is amazing. Like just going through, like, wow. It's just amazing. Riding with Hagrid and his motorbike. Yeah, even the ride vehicles are just amazing. The fact that you can ride either on a motorcycle or a sidecar is just mind-blowing. It's so creative. Like, I can't believe they thought of that. Like, it's just so, wow, it's just so creative. Definitely check out this ride. The only problem with this ride is it usually is a very long wait when you go, especially on busy days. So if you don't mind doing it in the dark, try to do this like maybe the last ride you do, because it's usually like the lowest wait right before the park closes. So maybe like do it right before the park closes. Okay, that is going to wrap up the Universal Orlando Resort tier list. I hope this helped you, tourists, to kind of estimate which rides you would like to do and which rides you would skip when you go to Universal. And just other people that have been to Universal, I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below if you agree with me or if you disagree. It's up to you. I'll leave it up to you guys. Also, comment down below if you want to see more videos like this, like maybe at Disney or just Magic Kingdom or something like that, or even water parks. Can even do water parks. So yeah, just comment down below what you'd like to see next. Make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more vlogs and more videos in general. So yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.